Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good day. We are Group 17 from LE Class Tuesday LH1. I'm Ahmad, registration number 20B8101.
I am Sarah, registration number 20B8024.
And I am Ali Hassan. My registration number is 20B8028.
I'm Uni and my registration number is 20B8030.
And we will be conducting a presentation regarding our report on mental health issues amongst youth during a pandemic. Now, quickly looking through the table of contents, this is the order of our presentation. I'll be presenting the introduction and literature review.
I will be presenting the methodology and results found.
And I'll be taking care of the discussion part of the presentation.
And I will be presenting the conclusion.
Now, starting off with introduction, ever since the emergence of the COVID-19 pandemic, several countries all around the world, including Brunei, issued national lockdowns in order to mitigate the spread of the virus. Whilst the lockdown has aided in the mitigation process, drawbacks have been observed, such as the deterioration of mental health. Coping mechanisms, specifically mental health coping mechanisms, are important because they help to ease anxiety levels and de-stress. However, society society have found themselves limited in their choice of coping mechanism and thus impacting their mental health, more often than not resulting to adopting a new one. Some have found success and have managed to improve on their health, while others have adopted less than favorable coping mechanisms, worsening their mental state. This leads us to our aim of the report, our thesis statement. The aim was to investigate the connection between a student's choice of mental health coping mechanism with their academic performance and progress, focusing on UBD students specifically. Now, this is a brief rundown of what we chose to research on. We looked at the connection between mental health and lockdown as a result of the current pandemic, where we found a study from Kim et al. That connected the lockdown with an increase in stress levels, anxiety, and depression. A study by Pros et al. Also found similar results, further linking an increase in stress levels with lower academic achievements. Next, we looked at favorable coping mechanisms and linked it with students' academic achievements. Kasi et al. And Kim et al. Found that a reliance of spiritual support as a mental health coping mechanism led to a better emotional state, lowering anxiety levels and sense of discomfort. Kim et al. Furthering the connection to better academic results. Lastly, we looked at unfavorable coping mechanisms and its link with students' academic performance. Besser et al. Saw that a unfavorable coping mechanism, such as sleeping and unhealthy eating, negatively impacted an individual's mental health. Similarly observed by Pros et al., who found that sleeping, as a coping mechanism, poorly impacted students' academic achievements. Next, we will talk about our methodology, led by Sarah.
The research was conducted using a self-report method, specifically using Google online survey provider Google Forms. This method was applied due to its effectiveness in gathering information quickly and can be conducted in a contactless manner, which is highly recommended and required during this time. The questionnaire itself comprises 16 questions, which includes 3 demographic questions and 13 questions regarding students' opinions on mental health, their coping mechanisms, sleeping schedule, and academic progress. The survey was distributed digitally through WhatsApp to UBD undergraduate students on September 16, 2021. Hence, the sampling method utilized is volunteer sampling, as the respondents are not obligated to answer the questionnaire. The benefit of this sampling technique is that data is easy to gather and requires little effort, as Google Form provides a summary of results. The sample size collected was 85 participants, which consists of 63 females and 22 males. The survey concluded on 23rd September 2021. As students continue online learning because of the second wave of COVID-19 in Brunei, many students have expressed that their well-being during lockdown has remained stagnant. However, there are still several students who have experienced a reduction in their well-being throughout the lockdown. As seen from Figure 2, the majority of students have chosen sleeping as a form of coping with their declining mental health during this lockdown. Furthermore, Some students have also decided to utilize their time into doing something productive, such as learning something new. Surprisingly, the number of students using social media or video gaming is considerably low, despite how most modern day youth spend their time online. Figure 3 shows that a majority of the students strongly agree that the current lockdown has impacted their sleeping schedules, as they are now sleeping much later than they previously did. Also, Figure 4 showcases the students' drastic responses in regards to how the current lockdown has negatively affected their motivation and productivity levels. And lastly, Figure 5 illustrates an even balance of good and bad responses in regards to students' module progression. However, a big majority of students claim that their module progressions are of a neutral state.
Now on to the discussion part of the presentation. According to the literature review, the progression of students' academics is directly correlated to their motivation, which falls in line with the survey conducted, as the results have shown that students have not been able to maintain their motivation towards their studies, and their academic progress have remained stagnant. Moreover, with the students' stresses due to the lockdown and pandemic, the most common coping mechanism selected by students is sleeping, as shown in Figure 2. According to Prowse et al. 2021, sleeping might not be the best way to cope with their mental health issues. As discussed by Prowse, sleeping is seen as being an avoidance mechanism, which may aid the students in escaping and avoiding their struggles but not solving them. In Figure 2 as well, meditation was used by only 11 participants, which is in contrast to Cassie et al. 2012 and Kim et al. 2021, where religious coping mechanisms are frequently used. Further argument is supported by Besser et al. 2020, whereby negative reactions are frequent during online learning as initiated for the lockdown. As a result, students' motivation to progress is either stagnant or decreased. Negative reactions are associated with negative coping mechanisms, and thus the avoidance style is preferred by students.
Now, moving on to conclusion, it has been deduced that there is a clear correlation between decline in motivation and productivity levels with the rate of students' mental health during this current lockdown. As the rate of their mental health declines, students often struggle to maintain motivation to study, be proactive in class discussions, and also stay ahead of assignments and readings. That being said, despite its difficulty to maintain motivation for online classes, it has also been deduced that students' module progressions have remained stagnant throughout. Furthermore, there is a positive correlation between coping mechanism and students' behavior during online learning. When the student's behavior is negative, their coping mechanism is negative as well. These are our references. That is all for our presentation. Thank you for listening and stay safe.